Because I couldn't get the whole of the luttrell fantasy into one shot for Instagram, this is just a little video of the whole thing. And if you'll excuse my wobbly handheld photography, I'll take you in closer for some of the highlights. So I always start at the bottom when I'm drawing and when I'm sewing and work my way up rather than top to bottom. I just find that works better. So the little chorus line across the bottom, all of these images are from the luttrell Psalter, which I'm absolutely fascinated with the marginalia on. I wanted to put that at the bottom to add some visual depth to the piece and give it some weight when it's hanging. The other little wheeled beast here, I've always rather loved him. I like his stripes, which are in the original as well. And the chap above him with the long tail. When I was working on him, I said to my partner Gareth, who has a PhD in biology from Cambridge, I said to him, "Do you think those three little berries are his testicles?" And he looked at me in horror and said, "Well, why would you put your genitalia dangling on the outside of your body where it could be easily damaged?" And you just think, firstly, which one of us has a PhD in biology? And secondly, have you looked in your own trousers lately, pet? And then, of course, there's a very long beast who's walking alongside here. He's relatively simple, but there are a lot of these very tall, long-legged creatures in the luttrell Psalter, and I particularly like his hat. Being a great and avid lover of hats myself, I find that a particularly fine titfer. The only creature on this fantasy that isn't from the luttrell Psalter is the little chap sat on the nest. And he's one of, there's a tradition in these hangings that I always have something modern. And his modern touch is a Cadbury's cream egg that he's holding instead of a regular chicken's egg. I actually had to look up what Cadbury's cream eggs look like because I haven't had one since I was 16. Don't like cheap chocolate. This one above him is definitely a physician because he's holding a flask of wee-wee, which is the main diagnostic tool of the medieval physician. You didn't even have to go to the doctor. You could just send one of your servants with, you know, a nice little flask of freshly produced, and they'd do the diagnosis from that. They had charts and everything. I've always liked this one. I originally thought of him as Shell Beast, but I have a theory that a lot of medieval art was done by quite short-sighted people. I'm short-sighted myself, and when I look at my face in the mirror and I'm not wearing my glasses, the way I focus makes my eyes bigger because that's what I'm looking at. And of course, that's what happens in Opus Anglicanum. So I think this is a short-sighted person looking at someone carrying a sack and just letting their imagination go mad. I'm not sure if I actually featured this little stripy chap here. He's rather sweet. And the Gurner, who's pulling faces, he's just one of my favourite things ever. I did him with a two-tone face, because of course this isn't Opus Anglicanum, so he can have two colours in his face. In Opus, you only have one colour in the face unless the person is evil. This one here is another of the very long things that goes all the way up the side. And again, you've got a little modern touch with the goat in the bow tie. I don't think I featured the guy whose shoulders he's riding on either. Some of my photos, when I did some photos of this, all came out wrong and a bit wibbly wobbly. I really like him. I really like him. I think he's wonderful. I just really like him. It's his little sad face, really. I mean, I don't care. I can't figure out if he walks sideways like a crab or if he folds those legs back behind him. But I just really like him. His face took it the whole day to do because it's all split stitch. And then, of course, we've got this one here, which is another of my favourites. He's yeah, I have no idea. And then you've got St Dunstan and his lovely hairy demon, because I do like medieval demons. They're very silly. And you've got two blokes having a fight up the top there, and you can tell they're wrong uns because one of them's got a blue face. and then the chap whose head is held in a glove. And that's the entirety of the first luttrell fantasy. The first one I hadn't quite got the hang of designing, so I think it's not as densely packed as it ought to be. I'll show you 2 and 3 in the new year, and you'll see that I've much more got the hang of more is more by the time I did 2 and 3. So I'll show you those later. But that's the first luttrell fantasy in its entirety.